Well, I'll talk to you later.
That's what God record for ice cream.
Yeah, ice cream. I hope you enjoyed the ice cream social. We've got some serious things to talk about tonight, so I want to thank you all for coming here. This is I'm kind of building this like an old-fashioned political meeting. For those of you who saw Gone with the Wind, remember they were going to have that political meeting. And of course what they were going to be doing is they're going to be out and fighting. They're using political meeting as cover. And you know, that's what we have to kind of look at ourselves doing. We've got some real strong, powerful opposition out there now trying to put us down, and so they'll never come back up again. You know, we've always been fighting the police ever since 1996 when we got passed, but now the police have called in the feds. The feds are here now. We're not doing, you know, we're getting creamed in the state legislature. 2011 was bad. We're going to be talking about what's going on in 2012. In particular, we're going to be talking about AB 2552. The bill that would make it impossible for you to use cannabis and drive without subjecting yourself to the possibility of getting a DUI.
I couldn't even leave the house.
What?
I couldn't even leave the house.
Couldn't even leave the house, yeah.
What about to get a prescription for Marinol?
Doesn't matter. So we're going to be talking about that and the actions we're going to be taking. And this is what it is. I'm really hoping that you people will kind of, as you go through the meeting tonight, understand that it's important to get involved. And if you don't get involved, we're going to be really in a bad way in 2012. And this is like the core group here in the Inland Empire. So we've got some people here tonight. The next, it's going to be up to you to, I hope you'll get involved and go out and get some other people to get involved, because we're going to need some people here. We can do some big changes here. There's a lot of us out here. You know, there's 1 million medical marijuana patients in the state of California. There's probably at least 50,000 here in the Inland Empire. 50,000 in the Empire. Easily. And where are they? Well, we got to get them out and get involved. Now, obviously, I'm sure all of you know other medical marijuana patients, and we've got to get the word out to them that there's this bill out there, 2552, which if it passes, is going to cause everybody a lot of problems and a lot of, I think we're going to talk more about that bill later on, so you understand this. But we got some other people here that there's other things going on, and I want to get to them, and they'll kind of talk with you a bit the way it's going to go. They're going to be talking. We got Anna Nevick here, who's running for political office. She's going to come and spend a couple minutes with you telling about what she's doing and why she hopes you'll get out there and support her. Then Sean and Josh are going to talk for a few minutes about the video they're producing of the shows, and then Melissa and Jen are going to come out and talk for a few minutes about the Californians for Legal and Safe Access, which is a collective operators association. This has always been a big bone of contention that I've always felt, is that the collective operators have done absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Is this the union?
Well, no, it's not the union. That's the workers' thing. This is the operators themselves organizing to fight for the rights of patients, the rights of collectives to operate. We got creamed in 2011 in Sacramento because we didn't have a single person up there really representing our interest. And the cops had all their people up there representing their interests, but there was nobody representing. There's over 1,000 medical marijuana collectives here in the state of California. It is a $1 billion a year industry, and these people are so unprofessional, are so unconcerned, or whatever the reason is that they don't get organized. Yeah, well, but it's about money. But if they want to stay in business, they have to do this. And the problem is, of course, is like some of you heard me say before, when somebody organizes, when you go into business for something, like I talked about a dry cleaning store, you join the Dry Cleaners Association. You pay dues to the Dry Cleaner Association every month. The Dry Cleaner Association takes that money, hires lobbyists, and sends them up to Sacramento to lobby on your behalf to make sure there's no bad bills passed, and maybe you can get some good things from the dry cleaners that are here in the state of California. Well, the collective operators of this state haven't done anything like that. And that's just plain old common sense, and I don't know what the problem is with them. Well, they finally got an organization here here in the Inland Empire called Californians for Legal and Safe Access, and it's an association of collective operators, and they have their meeting here at 7 o'clock. And guess what? Only 2 showed up. And so they're going to come here and talk about it because Melissa and Jen are not giving up. They want to keep working at it. And they're going to tell you about what they're doing, and if you're you go to a collective in the Inland Empire, you should let them know about this organization and why they should need to get involved. You had a question, Tom?
Yeah, why don't we get someone up there in legislation, like you said, a lobbyist? Why don't
Well,
we
because
just
we
pay
need
somebody
money.
salary?
Because we need money. And the collective operators are not forming an organization and paying dues to get the money to hire somebody to go up. That's what the Dry Cleaners Association does. Dry cleaners join the Dry Cleaners Association, pay $50 a month in dues, and there's 3,000 dry cleaners or whatever, so this organization has all this money to hire competent people who know what they're doing to go up to Sacramento and lobby on behalf of dry cleaners. And we're $1 billion a year industry, and we don't have anybody up there. That's absolutely crazy.
How do we get somebody?
Well, that's what they're trying to do. Listen to Jen and Melissa when they talk. You'll understand what they're trying to do. Yes, sir.
Lanny, how many collectives are left? How many haven't been closed?
Well, now, most have not been closed. Most have not been closed. There's a lot been closed. Several hundred have been closed, actually, true. But there's still hundreds and hundreds and they keep opening up. They keep opening up. I can't believe it. These people are still opening up collectives. They're coming out and opening up a collective over here. These people opened up a collective in Apple Valley last month. There is now 6 collectives in Apple Valley.
Big need up there.
There's in Thousand Palms, there are 16 collectives. They're all along Ramon Boulevard. You go down Ramon Boulevard, collective. And they're not, and they just can't, they gotta get organized. They gotta get organized. And they're going, the thing is, if they get organized, they wouldn't be getting picked off like that because they have the money to hire the lobbyists to get out there and lobby on their behalf. Right. Nobody's talking to the politicians about all this. Who is in Washington going to our elected officials there and arguing, hey, this has got to stop? They don't have anybody there. But I can assure you, well, Normal can have one person. That represents the whole country, not just the state of California. And these people are not giving money to Normal to go lobby for them. They expect Normal to do all this lobbying for free. Well, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way.
You know,
and $1 billion a year industry can afford to hire a couple of lobbyists to go to Washington, D.C. to sit there and argue on their behalf, but it's not happening, and that's what we're going to be talking about tonight.
You know, they have dispensaries in Washington, D.C. I wonder if the feds are raiding them.
Well, I don't know. Who knows? Listen, who knows what the feds are going to do? The feds are absolutely insane. I mean, look what happened in Oaksterdam. This is nonsense.
People are being murdered across.
Yeah, across town, Christians.
Whatever.
If they're not, they're harassing them at least.
Oh yeah, the cops are harassing, absolutely. But the thing is that
Not just the cops, the city councilmen, the government.
well, the government, the city council is causing these problems. Why? Because the cops are pushing them to do that. The cops are a whole problem here. The city councils didn't come up with this idea. The city councils did not go to the police and say, oh my gosh, collectives are opening up here, what should we do about it? The police came to the city councils before the collectives even opened up and said, oh my gosh, you don't want these places to open up, pass a ban. This was all cops. Cops were the beginning of our problem, and cops are the reason we're still having this problem. The public doesn't care. The public doesn't care. I'll give you the example why I tell you the public doesn't care. Oh, I talked about Loma Linda. They had a moratorium in place, and they were going to change their moratorium into a full-fledged ban. This is supposed to be a hot-button issue, right? The community is all up in arms about these collectives, right? So I went to that meeting because I was going to speak on behalf of collectives. And as I walked into the room, the city council chambers, about 30 people walked out. And I said, oh my gosh, did I misread the council agenda? I missed it. So I go walking up to the city clerk and I said, when is the medical marijuana collective ban going to be discussed? And she says, oh, it's coming up next. And I said, well, what are all those people that just left? Oh, they were there because McDonald's wanted to open up a drive-up window. There's 3 people there for the collective issue. Me, one person opposed, and one person against. The public doesn't care. This is not being driven by the public going to city council members saying, oh my gosh, we got to stop these collectives. They're not hearing it from the public. What they're hearing is from cops. Well, they passed the medical marijuana thing in Washington, D.C. is kind of an interesting story. They passed a bill, the voters in Washington, D.C., about 6 years ago, passed a bill legalizing medical marijuana in the city of Washington, D.C. And Bob Barr, at that time a very conservative Republican, got this thing passed called the Amendment, which prohibited, no money was to be allowed to be used to count the votes. So the votes could not be counted. Nobody knew whether it passed or not. Finally, they went to court, and after like 2 or 3 years fighting in court, the court said, no, you got to count it, you got to count it. So they counted the votes, and it won overwhelmingly, 60-some-odd% type of thing. And so now the city council there has established 6 medical marijuana collectors. Montel Williams is one of them, believe it or not. Montel Williams. So now what's good? It'll be interesting to see, like you asked, what's the feds going to do about medical marijuana collectors opening right in Washington, D.C. It's an interesting thing to see what they're going to do.
Yeah, are they going to conduct raids in their own neighborhoods?
So anyway, and then I'm going to talk about the 2552 and what we're going to try to do about it here in our neck of the woods, and we're going to wrap it up with Chuck talking kind of the political thing about how we can form clubs, and we're going to get in there right into the political structure, and we're going to start throwing our weight around. There's a lot of us here. This tonight is a start. Look at this as a start. The fact that you are here on the ground floor of something really, we hope it's going to grow big. And Dan over there is going to talk about how we're going to go viral on the web. We now have this new thing which we never had before, and this group has never made much use of it, and that is the internet, the web. And yet that is how so much is being done and accomplished. And I think we're going to see, we're going to grow from that. So, right now, let's have Anna Nevitt come in for a few minutes and talk about her candidacy. It's so nice when a political candidate wants to come and talk to you.
Now, Lenny and I will go back a few years back, and he's so progressive and I am progressive like he is. We are both nurses, but progressive nurses. So I'm running for Congress, which encompasses all the Moreno Valley, Riverside, Paris, Norco, that area. So I'm running as a Democrat, and I'm a nurse and I have a degree in political science, and I've been an activist all my life, starting with nuclear disarmament and then building up, as a peace activist for social justice, economic justice, prison reforms and all this stuff that we should do, but the influence of the money is the big problem, as you know. So I'm working on clean campaigns issues, because that is the only way to really have change. Because people can say whatever, but if they are raising millions of dollars from the wrong people, nothing will ever change. That's why things are getting worse year by year, because that's all they do, more and more money. Every year, more and more money is being spent. Years ago you would run for city council with $30,000. Now they raise $300,000 to run for a city council. They raise $3-4 million to run for Congress. And where is the money coming from? Very few of us are giving, so you know who is giving it. And that's why they give you all these great speeches, and then after the election it's all back to business as usual. So I believe that one person can make a difference, because everything starts with one, as you know. Any movement in history that you go through, it started with one. So don't ever be discouraged if 2 people came for your meeting. It starts with few, and then it builds up. And so if anybody lives in my district, and I leave some cards, maybe people like to help out in some ways, make phone calls or whatever, But as I know, I am very much concerned about the environment, about the young people, especially the students, because that tuition is criminal, to be honest. They graduate, they don't get good jobs, they're just in debt. So somebody has to represent the young people, and I really advocate for the young people, because the country that does not invest in the future of the young people has no future. And as you know, everything is against the poor, against the young. And if you have lots of money, then you are being represented. If you have good lobbies, you are being represented. And people don't have lobbies, that's why we have to become lobbyists ourselves. If you like a candidate, you pass it on to your neighbors, to your friends, and if you like the people who do not raise this big money, then you know that change will come. That is the only way that change will come. Otherwise, we're going to be all wasting our energy and wasting our time. But as I said, it's up to you. It doesn't cost anything to vote. It doesn't cost. It's free. As long as we vote, because so few people vote in the primary, and the primaries, the major decisions are being made in the primaries, and if we get the wrong people in the primaries, then in the end we're going to end up with wrong people. Because most people you talk to, they say, oh yeah, I wait for November. No, November is too late, so please vote on June 5th. The primary is June 5th. And Lenny is doing a great job, and Thank you so much for what you're doing. That takes lots of energy what you're doing.
But I've got a question.
Yes.
Last night I got a telephone call from a solicitor that was wanting information. I figured out it was Takano's campaign. I mean, he's been doing this a bunch
Yes.
over the years, and he's got the Teachers Association, I don't know which unions are behind him. And it's like, how can you go against somebody like that? They've already got their phone banks working and...
Well, you know, I ran one time. I had nothing again, but I didn't put much energy as I did now. And I didn't have the money to put the statement of the candidacy, which cost $6,000. And this time I did, because most people get that pamphlet and they all read, and I didn't have any of that. And I did so well, few thousand votes less. And in the end, the person was to the Republican, you know what I mean? So that I'm not afraid, because wherever I go, people don't know who Takano is, because I'm in the public. Every day I'm going in the parks, where the schoolyards are. I'm everywhere, and nobody even, everybody asks, who's running? So the only people who know is there's some union people who know because of the endorsements. But the general public has no clue. And that's why, you know, I'm very optimistic, because I am everywhere. And that's why they don't have to go anywhere, because they just dial for dollars and they beg for endorsements so somebody else can work for them, you see. That's why that's easy, anybody can do that. But where I'm going, there are senior citizens there, they don't know who Takano is, they're not members of the union, and they do vote. So, and wherever I go, they say, Anna, you got my vote, because you never see anybody coming to these events. So I'm every day I'm somewhere. So I'm not afraid, because as I said, I only got 2,000 votes less than the person who got all these endorsements. And I didn't have that statement of the candidacy. And many people say, you know, I didn't see this statement because they don't know that costs money, you know, because this is how we read, you know, the position. But this time I have it, so I'm optimistic. Thank you for
Things that Anna's got going first, because when you see the candidate's name there, they always put down their profession, you know, business person or you know, construction worker or whatever. Well, with Anna it says registered nurse, and the two professions that are most trusted in every poll that people they trust is firefighters and nurses. And so when people see RN up there, and they really don't know much about any of the candidates, a lot of people are going to sit there and say, well, it's nurse.
If you have nurse on yours?
What? Yes, mine will say registered nurse. And LNC. Well, I don't think most people know LNC is still here. So that's what I'm counting on, is I think a lot of people, Chuck is as mine, I'm running for the 42nd Assembly Central Committee, Democratic Central Committee. If you don't know what, yeah, thank you. If you don't know what a Central Committee is, that is the lowest rung of the political ladder. You can't get any lower without actually being in the basement.
Wrong.
And, wrong? What's lower than Central Committee?
The federal one is the government body.
What is a lower elected office than Central Committee? It's not elected. Oh, okay, all right, so it's above the club. Anyway, it's real grassroots, and I think that's so appropriate for me especially. So anyway, I was going to talk a little bit about that later on. Anyway, so Anna, if you are in her district, please, and you're a Democrat, vote for her in the primary. Tell your friends. She didn't talk about marijuana, but...
Oh, yeah, I am in favor of
yes.
it was, and I would like to have it legalized.
Yay! As a registered nurse, and most nurses are strongly in favor of marijuana. The California Nurses Association has come out in favor of it and has been in favor of it for many, many years.
Are you
Yes,
on
ma'am.
Facebook?
He should join League. See me after Law Enforcement Against Prohibition. We need people in there who are in law enforcement. Okay, Sean and Josh over here are two intrepid videographers who are making a video, and they want to talk a little bit about because they would like you to be a star in their video. Come on up.
Sure. Hello, everybody. My name's Sean Mahoney. Everyone knows me as Mahoney online, LokiGen. What we're doing is we're trying to get some first-person perspective on what's happening here. What are your personal thoughts and ideas? We don't take any sides on this thing, we just set it out there and present it as it is. So far, I've had quite a positive response. We're over 46,000 hits now, and we keep getting more subscribers and stuff. Working together with other people that are trying to get this thing going. We're going to set up some links to useful sites, landing sites, other sites which you might need to get to if you want to. We're going to be doing interviews at the end here. If you feel like you want to, say something about what's going on, what's on your mind, we'd love to get it. If you don't, we understand, absolutely. If you want to write it down and put it in anonymously, I love being in front of the camera, so I will just read it and do the voices as well. So after this is over, if any of you guys want to participate, please find one of us and just let us know.
They'll be at the cameras open, probably in my office over there.
Thank you.
This stuff is going on the internet, and I guess that is. It's really, people watch the internet. It's really quite incredible what's going on. They're really going on that. Okay, and now I told you about the Californians for Legal and Safe Access, as I went in there and decried the inability of collective owners to have as much sense as a dry cleaner does. So come on up, Jenny and Melissa.
Hi everybody. We are Melissa and Jenny from Californians for Local and Safe Access, but we're looking for legalization too. Thank you, Laddie. You want to talk about who we are?
Oh, okay, yeah.
Local.
We're local.
Yeah,
We're organized as a collective owners coalition. When we first started off, we had several collective owners that would come, probably about several meetings, about 10 to 15. Come to our meetings, we would get together. We were actually doing pretty well there for a while, and then little by little, these collectives kind of started dropping off. The goal of CLSA was to kind of create a brotherhood and a network between collective owners, collective operators, so that we kind of all had an idea of what was going on within each one's collective. I don't know how many people here tonight are collective operators, but regardless, other things that we do is we offer ideas, literature, information to these collective operators to pass on to their members. So as members come into the collectives, they have resources like pre-written letters to give to them to send to Obama regarding things like Amsterdam University rates. I'm going to pass these out if anybody wants to sign them.
Sure.
It's pretty generic. You're welcome to add any of your own, commentary below. We ask that you just print your name, sign, and put your address for
No
response
death
from the
threats.
Yeah, no death threats. Don't get too crazy into it. This really is a time to say this is for you guys personally. But these are the kind of things that we try to promote within collectives.
Right. So we put together this whole packet for collective operators, just as a reference guide on how to welcome new patients into the group, get them activated to be participants within the group. We were kind of joking around about an idea earlier in the evening, but we really need the patients to step up. I mean, it's you that wants to medicate, it's you that needs the medicine, and it's also you that needs to advocate for yourself. And a lot of times people are too shy, or they don't want to be in the media's eye, or they, oh, somebody else can do it for me. But every voice needs to be heard. And if you don't have a voice for yourself because legally you can't vote, or there's some other issue, then you can talk to your friends, your neighbors, get on your social media networks and talk to them and have them be your voice for you. Don't just rely on other patients and say, oh yeah, they'll get the job done, because it hasn't happened so far. And this has been legalized for what, 16 years? 16 years now. And we're still fighting the good fight to keep people out of jail and to keep the DEA from raiding our collectives and taking what is benefiting us. Definitely. So we have all this put together here. It tells you how to get started, to all the information on here to sign up for your voter registration cards and everything, all the way down to getting your medical marijuana card from the county health department is all in here. We have some of the local collectives who have been trying to put together petitions to go out to the city council members and plead with them to have mercy on us and just basically grant us the right to stay, give us a specialty permit to stay. And so we have some smaller petitions here just written straight out to city council members, MAC council meetings, any smaller local government. We're trying to get in with them and just really change the conversation with them, trying to get them talking again and try and infect the government from the lower forms all the way up to the top. And you know, Lanny's going out and he's campaigning and he's getting on board, but he's also a collective operator, somebody who's been an activist for many, many years, and we don't have to wait and take that time and have hit or misses. We can just pick up where he's already pretty much left off and he's still going, but and just pick up from there. I think he's the little engine that could, huh? You just go and go and go.
In addition to the collective operators, we actually also have about 10 or 12 law firms that are members alongside us. They come to some of our meetings. The attorneys sometimes show up, sometimes don't. But they've many times come in and just kind of sat down and run through with us things that they've run into in the courts. A lot of them have medical marijuana cases. So it's kind of a cool thing for collective operators to be involved with. It's very informative to come to these meetings. If you guys go to your local collectives, let them know that we're out there. Miss Miranda over here is an operator at a Bloomington collective. Yesterday, in response to the Oaksterdam raids, they got over 120 letters out of their members. I've got these. So
the last thing that we have is we just have these that we're going to try and put into every single collective, and this is written out to the patients from CLSA. It just tells you who we are, why we need to unite, and ways to get active in your community, in your collective, and to start advocating for yourself and staying strong.
And anybody that wants more information, come talk to us. We'll give you flyers and pamphlets.
Is Letitia Pepper one of the lawyers involved in the group?
No. But if you're in contact with her, get us her in contact with us, because we're always interested in taking on anybody who's interested in us. Did you want us to pass these out, or do you want me to put them at the door?
Well, why don't you tell it, you can have them, and you can be at the door at the end of the meeting, hand them out to everybody.
I'll do that, and it's just really all it is your name, your signature, and your address is all we need.
Yeah, you can send it to, get your letter to the president.
Oh, we'll mail them for you. If you want, we will mail them for you.
Yeah,
See how this thing will pay the postage and everything. We'll stamp them, stuff them, do it all for you. All we need is your signature. So thank you guys.
Still, it's run by women, and our movement needs more women, you know? We would be so much more successful if the new one was totally run by women.
Real quick,
Yes.
we need volunteers. So we actually have a list of certain things we need, including web designers, graphic designers, things like that. Okay, so yeah, another thing, if you guys, let me know at the end of the thing.